Hello, Internet. Ed from Iridium Solutions and the Iridium Group. And today I'd like to talk to you about why the MARCHE algorithm starts with M. Okay, so this is coming from the Control Massive Bleeding course workbook. Control Massive Bleeding is Iridium Solutions Introductory to TECC course for Canadian civilians. Okay, those are live person courses. You can go to www.iridiumsolutions.ca and sign up or be notified for when the next one is available. Currently, the courses are being scheduled in Prince George, BC. That's where I'm at. But if you want us to come to you, get 7 or more of your friends together, send us an email, info@iridiumsolutions.ca, and we'll come train you where you're at. If you're in America, go to refugetraining.com. They've got you covered. All right, so why does MARCHE, which is the algorithm for TCCC and TECC, start with M, which stands for massive hemorrhage? Why not airway, respiration, circulation, hypothermia, head injury, or everything else? Well, in short, the most effective thing that we can do pre-hospital to increase our casualties or our own chances for survival is keep as much blood in their body as possible. That's why. It's the most important thing. Also, if you have an arterial bleed, which means the big trunks that run up and down your body, if those are bleeding out, you will lose enough volume of your body's blood in, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes that you will go into stage 4 shock and be unrecoverable. Even at that point, if they get you to a hospital and pump all the fluids back into you, when your body has started shutting down all your internal organs, even if you're resuscitated, typically speaking, casualties in stage 4 shock die within weeks because their organs don't recover. So it's a big deal. We want to get the massive bleeding stopped, intervened, and dealt with fast. Okay, I say in the first 4 minutes. The medical people are really happy if we can get a tourniquet on to a wound within a minute after it's happened. If you practice with these, and when you come to class, you're going to get Cat 7 tourniquet, and you're going to practice applying it and having it applied to you. You should be able to put this on in 30 seconds. We're going to go to the book, and I'm going to read a little bit about talking about why massive hemorrhage is first from a medical perspective. Okay? Traditional combat data shows a 4 wounded to 1 killed ratio until the implementation of the TCCC guidelines. That meant that traditionally, up until TCCC was a thing, for every 4 people in combat that were hurt, 1 died. That's pretty high numbers. After the TCCC guidelines were implemented, the ratio went up to 10 to 1. That means 10 people got hurt for every 1 person that died. That is way better. We know that these things save lives. It's demonstrated. Access to antibiotics and updated surgical techniques didn't change those ratios. Because you might think, well, come on, we have better surgery, we have better antibiotics. Negative. TCCC is so recent that surgical procedures and techniques and the available antibiotics haven't developed or evolved in a sort of substantive way by comparison. It's the TCCC guidelines and implementing them fast in the right order priority that does the work. The primary difference was focusing at the point of injury on keeping as much of the casualty's blood inside their body as possible. If you can get the casualty alive to the hospital, they rarely die. So that's our goal, right? Now, in an urban or even a rural setting, as civilians, our goal really isn't to be packing, wrapping, and then evacing casualties ourselves. What we'd really like to be doing is having either an ambulance on wheels or an ambulance that can float on water, or an ambulance that is a rotary wing aircraft coming to us and picking up that casualty. Because the people on board those medevacs or medical evacuation vehicles have further training, higher permissions on what they can do, and more and better equipment, typically speaking. Wound distribution in combat is disproportionately in the extremities, arms, and legs. So what they're saying is torsos in combat largely are protected by armor. So typically speaking, what they found was wounds were in the arms and the legs. That's where people were getting shot or blown up, fragmentary injuries. Single wound deaths are disproportionately injuries to the head. So if a casualty died from one single wound, it was usually a gunshot to the head. Okay? Where the connection to the central nervous system is severed. That could also be a spinal cord injury. In a civilian context, where minimal protective gear is generally worn, injury locations are more related to the type of activity they were engaged in when the injury occurred, right? Because, in a military context, there's a sort of a narrow band of activities that people are doing when they get injured. In a civilian context, you could be doing any number of things. You could have been rock climbing. You could have been window washing on the side of a skyscraper, right? You could have been spelunking in a cave. You could have been, working underneath a piece of heavy equipment. You could have been operating a chainsaw. You could have been using a pickaxe. Any number of things. So, you don't see a lot of chainsaw wounds at motor vehicle collisions, but you do see a lot of crush injuries, as an example. We'll leave it there. The next page of the book goes on to talk about wound ballistics. But what I'll circle back to is we are worried about keeping the most of the casualty's blood in their body as we can. That's going to affect the outcome of the casualty positively. And in a civilian setting, we have a plethora of injuries to worry about, not just gunshots and IEDs, which are the primary combat injuries that they're worried about. Vehicle accidents are probably one of the number one killers of civilians. And a lot of those are crush injuries, right? Lots of people interact with windows or plate glass and get lacerations to arms or legs that cause them to bleed out rather quickly. Assaults in the civilian setting, especially in Canada, firearms are a really low percentage, even though they're hyped up, in the media. There's a lot more sort of baseball bats and knives and things like that. And so we need to be more concerned about those types of injuries. So M, massive hemorrhage, massive bleeding. Deal with that first. Best way to deal with it, tourniquet. Best way to employ a tourniquet, training. So come get training. Okay, without training, all this cool guy stuff won't do you a lick of good. It might do somebody else a lick of good if you have no training and have a bunch of gear on you, but you don't want to be someone else's loot drop, as the kids say. Come to class, learn about how to deal with massive hemorrhage and the rest of the letters in the algorithm, in the mnemonic, right? The airway, respiration, circulation, head injuries, hypothermia, and everything else. We're going to cover all of it. Hope to see you in class. If you liked this video, found it of value, share it with somebody. If you hated this video, don't like the sound of my voice, share it with a bunch of people. It really helps the algorithm. I want to give a quick shout out to my brother at Blue Line Syndicate Group, who does a bunch of the photography and filming. Very much behind the scenes, not in front of the camera all the time, but when he's not here, I miss him. I'm filming this today on my iPhone because he's out doing cool guy shit, and I wish you were here, brother. So if you haven't already checked out Blue Line Syndicate Group on Instagram, go check out his page, throw him a like. His content is phenomenal. His skills are just amazing. He's crushing it at what he does. Also, my friends at SOE Tactical Gear, Special Operations Equipment, John Willis owns that. He's a friend of mine, not like a friend on the internet. We know each other personally. I've been down to Tennessee where he lives. We have hung out together. Cool person, making high quality, very robust gear. So if you need medical bags, sometimes they run medical backpacks and they're pretty legit. Individual first aid kits, then that's who you want to go to. And then since we're talking about America, my friends down at Refuge Medical, if you're in America and you need probably the best IFAC on the market today, the Bearfac 3.0 is it. Ed, why are you talking about someone else's IFAC? Because in Canada, I can't build and sell IFACs to you without registering them with Health Canada as medical devices, and the cost and process to do so would increase the cost of the first aid kit, that it would be prohibitively expensive. So I'm not worried about that. okay? I'm worried about getting you training, and I can sell you all of these parts individually, but I can't put them in a bag and sell them. This is a training kit. We rip the bag open. It's not an IFAC. I know, I'm floating the gray line. So Refuge Medical in America for really high-end first aid kits, or trauma kits. And you can go on our website and buy all your individual components. We have other cool stuff. We do other things on the website, which you should check out. Email us if you need more info, or hit me up on Instagram, the Iridium Group. We're that bird with the little maple leaf. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Look forward to doing another one of these in the future, and we will see you on the next one. Snowbird out.